What's up, guys? It's Marcus with MetaFoes, and I'm actually here today to go over the meta report for basically the first half of 2025 prior to Nationals coming up here in July. I know for others it'll be in June, but for us in the States and in North America, our national qualifier is going to be July 11th through 13th, and I wanted to just go over basically how the previous majors have gone up to this point, so you guys can start to use some of that data to, help with your deck choices, deck building, and whatnot, or at least give you a general overview of what the meta should look like come Nats. So first, our first event was Ultimate Time Wizard Orlando. This was on February 2nd, 2025. Was won by none other than the Vayu Goat himself, Eric Shen. You can see the list here on the right. This is kind of where we see the Sizzle 41 show itself here. And yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the exact main deck he's been rocking for a hot minute. At this event, we had one Vayu Turbo, one Glad Beast, one Blackwing, one Christia Sworn, the Dan Rose special, one Hero Frog, two Machina Control, and the only deck top taking up more than one spot was Gigavice. And this is where Gigavice broke out onto the scene. And we had two make top cut. Marcus Carisi's list kind of became the standardized version of that deck. And you can see inside decks that people start to respond here in the future, leading to less success for the deck, I think. But yeah, it was 288 players. I actually was the Blackwing player that topped this event. I got third. But yeah, very diverse top cut. Not a whole lot to say here. This is kind of typical for Edison format up to this point. Really the only big change was the 2 Gigavice showing itself here. But yeah, let's go to the next slide. We have Ultimate Time Wizard Birmingham. It capped out at 256 players. And this is where Forgs really started to take over the meta. We had 3 Frog OTK, which is the Forgs deck, 1 Machina Turbo, it's like Machina Control, 2 Blackwings, 1 Hero Frog, and 1 Vayu. And this is the Alistair 40 that a lot of people have played up to this point, with the signature side deck plan of basically siding in 14 or 15 and making your deck more resilient to all the blowouts that people are going to try to side in versus the Forg list. And yeah, this deck became terrifying. This was on February 9th, 2025, Ultimate Time Wizard Birmingham. He had won 3 of them made top 8, and it kind of reared its ugly head moving forward numerous times. One list I didn't include on this list because it was a 3v3 event, and it was hard to collect data on it. But this Frog OTK deck also ends up winning YCS Las Vegas in the 3v3 Edison portion later in April, I believe. But yeah, this deck's terrifying, extremely strong. It can combo out of nowhere and kill you. It's one of the best game 1 decks of the format. Even beats a lot of the other game 1 decks because you either loop Dupe Frog against the decks that struggle against dupe, or you just explode before their deck gets going, use a sweeper like a heavy or a true nade, and then just kill them. But it's also just good at grinding, surprisingly. So yeah, this deck's real. Definitely became a major part of the meta from this point moving forward. Next is EWCQ9. There's 133 players for this event. Another very spread out top 8. However, you notice again that Frog OTK takes down 2 events in a row here, it being won by Diego. And yeah, I'm pretty sure this is just the Alistair 40 main deck, and then similar, if not the exact same side deck plan. I think it might be 1 or 2 cards different. But yeah, very strong. Rest of the top 8, we have 1 X-Saber, 1 Vayu Turbo, 1 Glad Beast, 1 Dragon Turbo, 1 Gigavice, 1 Machina Control, and 1 Hero Frog. Important to note, we don't see any Blackwing here. We see some consistency from Machina Control and Gigavice from previous events continuing to do well. And obviously, Vayu Turbo is no surprise to anyone. I think the Dragon Turbo for this event, correct me if I'm wrong, was Ghost Rider, which is typical for him. But yeah, so at this point, as of February, now everyone's kind of terrified that Gigavice and Frog, OTK, or Forgs are kind of starting to take over the meta, and the speed of the game has drastically increased, and side decks and main decks have to learn to adapt to this. So next we have RBTLA Day 1. This was won by Oscar Ruano. This was February 16th, 2025. And I believe this was 8 rounds of Swiss with no top cut. And that was due to the venue closing pretty early and them not having the ability to run a top cut. So completely understandable there. Oscar went 8-0 with Diva Hero. I hear this guy is an absolute menace, winning a bunch of like regional tournaments out in the West Coast. I've played against him once myself, and he beat me in Swiss at, I believe it was YCS Anaheim. And he was on this deck. He's a very good player for sure. But I don't know if this will have a effect on the meta. I think this might be more of a pilot in the deck itself sort of thing. Going over the top 8 list, we have 1 Diva Hero, 1 Gladiator Beast, 1 Machina Gadget, 2 Vayu Turbo, 1 Blackwing, 1 Spellcaster Control, which this was new at the time, but I don't know, it seems kind of cheesy to me, to be honest, and seems to have a bad Blackwing matchup in my opinion. And then 1 Hero Frog. So we pretty much consistently see like 1 Blackwing or Hero Frog in these top 8s, one or 2 Vayu. But important to note, we got 0 Frog OTK and 0 Gigavice to make this top 8. I think that's partially due to representation at this point in time. It's definitely a lot less represented in the States. So you'll see it more, especially Frog OTK. Gigavice a little bit more in the States, but Frog OTK a lot less in the States. And you'll see a little bit more online and in European events. But yeah, it does make its way here. So next is RBTLA Day 2. This was much smaller event, only 90 players, won by John Hack. This was on February 17th in a tried and true Blackwing list. This pretty standard, not a whole lot going on here that isn't normal in the main hand side, to be honest. I guess maybe the Red Dragon Archfiend's a little bit different. Most people play the second Armor Master or a Mistworm there. But we have 4 Blackwings, 1 Plant Control, 2 Vayu Turbo, and 1 Twilight. You'll notice that with these top cuts, when a Lightsworn deck does make it, it's almost always Twilight or Christiasworn. And I think going forward, we're going to see some more Twilight. Big thing to point out, though, is 4 Blackwings taking top 8 spots and ultimately winning the event. Yeah, I just think Blackwings is kind of positioned well in this format because there's not a lot of decks other than Machina that are like losing matchups, and Machina is still like 55-45 in their favor or something. I think Blackwings is very well positioned into this meta, so it makes sense to me, especially with the increased Frog player count. Next we got Amaryllis. This was Ultimate Time Wizards Sydney. Sorry for the quality here. I don't know why it looks a little bugged, but it was won by Keza. This was on March 2nd with Amaryllis. We do have the top 8, which was 1 Ama, 3 Vayu Turbo, 2 Blackwing, 1 Frog OTK, and 1 Disaster Dragon. So yeah, I mean, no surprise with the amount of Vayu Turbo and Blackwing. Pretty consistently, we'll see like 1, 2 of those in top cuts. We do see another Frog OTK topping here. But this is the first major, I believe, that Amaryllis has won. It's got a couple second places, but this is first win, so congrats to Keza there. I don't know if it was well positioned or what. I will say I do know this was a 7-round event, so I believe that means it was less than 128 players and over 64 players, if I'm correct. So I'd guess somewhere around 100 to like 120 range. But yeah, very interesting list. This is your like Steel Ama list. You can see some cool stuff here with the triple Cyber Valley. It makes the weird thing about these kinds of lists, they're more susceptible to cards like DDV, whereas Amaryllis typically isn't very susceptible to those types of cards, but it gives you a lot of utility. So I definitely understand why you would play it. But let's move on. Next is the SSG Southside Gaming Florida event. There's 123 players. This was the biggest prizing event, I believe, that I'm aware of to date. And it was won by Yicheng Li on Machina control, but a little bit of a different take here. We do notice 2 main deck DD Crows. He really gears this main deck to like just try to stomp Vayu, considering it's the most popular deck, while also easing up the matchups that are normally kind of hard, like Forgs, because you're maining the Crows and you have triple Compulse and whatnot. And since you already naturally have a good Blackwing matchup, you're able to make these concessions. So I kind of like those picks. Side deck's pretty sweet. Yeah, good coverage basically across the board. At this event, we had 1 Machina Control, 2 Blackwings, 2 Vayu Turbo, 1 Macro Stun, and 1 Glad Beast take the top 8. So, I mean, once again, 2 Blackwing, 2 Vayu Turbo. It's kind of a standard for most of these events. We'll get like at least 2 of those typically, and if not, it's normally 1. Pretty consistently seeing 1 Machina Control, because I think that deck's pretty well positioned as well. And Glad Beasts keep topping. It's almost like a little bit more than every other event. So from my experience, the last few majors I've played in, I've played at least 2 Gladiator Beast in Swiss and or Top Cut. So, I mean, that's about how much I expect to play. I think it's one of the more represented decks, probably top 3 or 4 most rep decks going into events at this point. So yeah, gonna have to be prepared for that, and they've been performing too. Next, we had Ultimate Time Wizard Houston. We had 240 players for this event, and it was won by Mercenary on Vayu Turbo. We'll go over the split here. We have 2 Vayu Turbo, 1 Twilight, that got second, 1 Gladiator Beast, 2 Hero Frog. Important to note that they did not main deck Dupe Frog. 1 Diva Hero, and 1 Machina Gadget. So Machina Gadget's actually topped a few times now at this point, which is a little bit surprising, because that deck's, yeah, I just don't think the Gadget's stats are good enough, but, you know, playing Solidarity allows you to apply a lot of pressure. It's consistent, which is half the battle, honestly, when you're playing these long tournaments. So I definitely get it, but I'm not prepping to really play one, and I just have general machine coverage in the side deck, which I think should be good enough for that. The 2 Hero Frogs, I mean, Hero Frog pretty consistently gets 1 top cut spot, so 2 is a little bit surprising, but nothing crazy. 2 Vayu Turbo, no surprise there. I was one of the 2 Vayu Turbo players. Important to note, I don't believe we had any Blackwing here in the top cut. Little bit surprising, but nothing crazy. But once again, we have Twilight. And as I stated before, that is the variant I think we see topping the most, surprisingly. So yeah, definitely interesting there. Congrats to Merc. He was playing the Sizzle 41 in the main deck. I think only 1 side deck difference from how Eric plays his. But yeah, this is basically, if I'm ever against Vayu Turbo, this is kind of what I'm expecting. You know, maybe plus or minus 1 to 3 cards. But yeah, it's pretty much a lockdown for the main deck. Important to note, once again, we do not see Frog, OTK, or Giga make the top cut here. So especially in the States, you will see these decks a little bit less than elsewhere. Next, we have RBT Vegas, day 1. So as I say that, we have 2 Frog OTK take top cut spots here on RBT Vegas day 1. However, neither of them making it to the finals. Our finals was a Hero Frog mirror match won by Michael DeSantis. Once again, we have Hero Frog taking a spot as normal. It's normally 1 to 2 spots, similar to Blackwing and Vayu. Here we do not have Vayu topping, but once again, we have Machina Gadget and Machina Control, showing that Machina cards in general are pretty well positioned at dealing with the meta. Yeah, just not being able to target Fortress, and Fortress being such an accessible boss monster is pretty important. We have 1 Blackwing and 1 Christia Sworn here. So yeah, Christia Sworn and Twilight, definitely the Light Sworn variants you need to look out for, though I will say Twilight's surprisingly been the one performing a little bit better across the board. Yeah, I don't believe there's a top cut for this as well. Or no, there was a top cut for this one because the finals was 2 Hero Frogs. But for day 2, this was April 26th also. Actually, before I move on, this list is kind of spicy. He decides to play 2 Mally, 1 Water Art, 5 Discard Traps, kind of 6 Monarchs. Kind of leans towards how Dimitri had played this deck in the past. But yeah, solid list. Nothing absurd, but definitely a little spicy. But let's move on to day 2, where Jake Mattern wins with Blackwings. This one had no top cut, I believe. So I think he just went undefeated. Important to note, though, or he won with Gladiator Beast. My apologies. Important to note, though, 4 Blackwings top, one Frog Monarch, not Hero Frog or Frog OTK, one Vayu Turbo, one Light Sworn. So I believe this is the only pure Light Sworn that topped in the events we're going to go over, and one Gladiator Beast. I might be incorrect on these, but I'm just kind of yapping as we go here. Yeah, but Glad Beast win this here, RBT Vegas Day 2, which, spoiler alert, isn't going to be their only win on this list. And like, I mean, you've seen in these past few events, they pretty typically take up one spot in top 8, considering I think it's like the 4th most rep deck. Averaging one spot in top 8 is pretty good, in my opinion. Blackwing dominating the top 8 spots here is no surprise. I'm guessing that West Coast is really popular with Blackwing, considering the West Coast events we've seen, they've done pretty well in. So congrats to Jake. Actually, is there anything crazy about his list? 2 Darius, normal. 2 Sam Knights, not crazy. We see triple trap hole, interesting. Warrior, oh, it's not crazy. A lot of one-ofs in the side deck. Very interesting. And then, yeah, extra deck doesn't really matter. You're just making like these front 4 cards ever. So next, we have Glad Beast winning Ultimate Time Wizard Providence. It was won by Anthony Valenti. I know he goes by another name, but I'm blanking on it. It was won on May 4th, 2025. This is a Prisma build. And some interesting notes here is he plays the Warrior Lady in the main, which is interesting because it makes you a little bit more susceptible to DDV still by playing, not the Assailant. He plays a small hero package, really relying on this Prisma Test Tiger combo to do things, opting not to play Proving Ground in the main or side. Some interesting notes is he does the 2 Chariot, only 1 Wabaku. I think that's pretty important to note. Side deck, only interesting things here, in my opinion, is this Grand Mole. I think I like the rest of that. Oop, my apologies. Go back really quickly. So yeah, we had 228 players for this event, 1 Glad Beast top, 1 Volcanic Garden. Don't know if this is like a caught everyone off guard type of deck, or if this deck is just legit. I honestly don't have the reps against it, so I cannot say. But it got 2nd place. We had 1 Frog OTK, 2 Vayu Turbo, 1 Flip Dragon, and 2 Blackwing, one of which being a like flip Blackwing deck. I believe they were playing Des Lakotas and some other flip effects in there. Yeah, I mean, what we expect from Vayu and Blackwing, another Frog OTK. So pretty consistently, you'll get like 1 to 2 Frog OTKs and or 1 to 2 Hero Frogs. So you will have some amount of Frogs, even though they play much differently. The way you prepare for them in the side deck is often similar. So, all right, important note there. Let's go next. We have EWCQ10. I believe this is our most recent event. It was won by Siberia on Hero Frogs. And this is your more traditional list, in my opinion. I believe this is very similar to how people kind of used to play it back in the day with like Prison and or Threatening Roar in the main, but then still opting to play your Junk Synchron, only 1 Ryza, only opting to play 4 heroes with no alias. I opting to play this Cyber Dragon in the main instead. I guess I'd have to watch the replays to know how that panned out for him, but the side deck makes sense. Got good coverage for everything. I actually like this list. It's pretty clean. Yeah, I don't know. A lot of people have been moving off the Unifrog in the main, but yeah, I guess it just depends what you think you're going to be playing against. We had 140 players for the event, 2 Hero Frog, 2 Frog OTK, so that's 4 Frogs in Top Cut, 2 Blackwing, 1 Twilight, and once again, 1 Gladiator Beast. I mean, all these Frogs in Top Cut, I thought Glads would have made a deep run. Maybe they did. I just see the winning deck here, but yeah, once again, we see Twilight being the Light Sworn deck to break into top 8, pretty consistently seeing Blackwings up here. Surprised to not see Vayu, but yeah, it's weird too, because I believe Vayu was pretty highly represented for this event. Let me know in the comments if I'm wrong about that, but I believe I remember that being said somewhere on the stream. But okay, let's move on to what my predictions are. I think for Nats, my predictions are 2 Vayu, 2 Blackwing, because pretty consistently we'll see anywhere from 1 to 4 of those take up top cut spots. So I think that's fair. 1 Hero Frog. I don't think we'll see a Frog OTK because at Nats, you're going to have a likely 9-round event. That deck you cannot make mistakes on. And I think good players in the US don't often opt to go for a deck that's mentally draining over 9 rounds, can't make mistakes, and you're going to be playing the best competition since all the good players typically end up going to nationals. But I do have 1 Hero Frog, 1 Machina Control, because it's consistently been doing well. It's got a great Blackwing matchup. It's geared, especially when you gear it to beat Vayu, it's got a great Vayu matchup. 1 Glad Beast, I mean, it's basically been topping everything, and it's had 2 wins in just recent months. So hard to argue that they won't have a showing. And 1 Twilight, this is the one I went with here for the Light Sworn representation, just because Christia Sworn bricks a little bit more frequently than the Twilight deck does. And the Twilight deck that has also just been performing better. So in a long tournament, if one of them's going to make it, I would bet my money on Twilight. But yeah, this was just a short meta report. Wanted to go over it with you guys prior to nationals. It's just a month away now, so let me know in the comments what you guys think is going to top nationals and maybe what decks you guys would like to play. But until next time, peace out, my meta pros.